Rafael Nadal, a tennis legend, a warrior who never gave up. But even the greatest champions have their limits, and in his case, it wasn't his opponents who ultimately stopped him. It was his own body. After years of battling endless injuries, 2024 marked the end of one of the most incredible careers in sports history. From a young age, it was clear that Nadal was no ordinary player. His explosive game, relentless movement, and unbreakable mentality made him a nightmare for any opponent. But even at just 19 years old, when he won his first Roland Garros title, the first signs of trouble appeared. His knees were already a concern. Then came 2009. Nadal was at his peak, having won the Australian Open in a thrilling final against Federer. He was set to dominate the season. But then, disaster struck. His chronic knee problems worsened, forcing him to withdraw from Wimbledon. It was a huge blow, especially after his legendary victory over Federer on the same stage in 2008. When he returned, he was still great, but his body was starting to show the wear and tear of his brutal playing style. Nadal's playing style was both his greatest strength and his biggest weakness. Every match, every practice, every explosive movement put immense strain on his joints. In 2012, he won his 7th Roland Garros title, but his body paid the price. His knees were so damaged that he was diagnosed with Hoffa's syndrome, an inflammation of the fat pad in the knee. The pain was unbearable, forcing him to miss the rest of the season, including the Olympics, US Open, and ATP finals. When he returned in 2013, he looked unstoppable, winning 10 titles, including another US Open. But in 2014, new problems emerged. This time, his back. During the Australian Open final against Wawrinka, he suffered a back injury mid-match. He played through the pain, but his movement was severely limited, and he lost. As if that wasn't enough, later that year, he injured his right wrist, forcing him to miss the entire North American hardcourt season. When he finally returned, he suffered appendicitis, which required surgery. That meant another long break. By this point, Nadal's career was becoming a never-ending battle with injuries. In 2016, his wrist problems resurfaced, forcing him to withdraw from Roland Garros for the first time in his career. It was heartbreaking, especially considering how dominant he had been in Paris. He fought back in 2017 and 2018, winning multiple Grand Slams, but his body was far from perfect. At the 2018 US Open, he had to retire mid-match in the semifinals due to knee pain. Then, in early 2019, another injury struck, this time a torn abdominal muscle, which affected his serve. In 2022, Nadal once again defied the odds. He won the Australian Open in a historic comeback against Medvedev, then reclaimed his throne at Roland Garros. But this time, he was playing through excruciating foot pain caused by Müller-Weiss syndrome, a degenerative bone condition. He needed constant injections just to numb the pain and keep playing. Then came Wimbledon, where he suffered a torn abdominal muscle during the quarterfinals. Despite making it to the semifinals, he was forced to withdraw. His body was breaking down at an alarming rate. In early 2023, Nadal suffered a hip injury at the Australian Open, which required surgery. It was one of his longest layoffs, raising serious doubts about his future. He tried to make a comeback in 2024, but his body simply couldn't keep up. Then, in October 2024, he made it official. Davis Cup would be his final tournament. In Malaga, Nadal played his last professional match against Botic van de Zandschulp. It wasn't the fairy tale ending fans had hoped for. He lost 6-4, 6-4, and Spain was eliminated. But the result didn't matter. What mattered was the moment, the farewell of one of the greatest players in history. After the match, an emotional ceremony took place. On the big screen, messages from Federer, Djokovic, Serena Williams, and other legends played as the crowd gave him a standing ovation. It was a bittersweet goodbye, but one filled with respect and admiration. Whether you were a die-hard Nadal fan or just an admirer of his fighting spirit, one thing is undeniable. His legacy is eternal. 22 Grand Slam titles, 4 Davis Cup victories, 2 Olympic gold medals, and an unmatched warrior's heart. What do you think about his retirement? Was it the right time to leave, or should he have tried one last comeback? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.